You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and Beautiful fans, this is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and wow, can you believe the words coming out of Hope Logan's mouth? It was a whole bunch of me, with no regard for Thomas Forrester's feelings. She's distraught and angry, and I do expect Hope to run to her new buddy, John Finnegan, for comfort. So let's talk about Hope's next move and what it may trigger. But if you're not following us, please click subscribe. So on this week's B&B episodes, we have Hope very angry that Thomas Forrester rebounded with Paris Buckingham and is engaged and set to get married soon. And when Hope expressed her outrage, all she talked about was how big of a difference he had made in her life. All the things he did for her. He was her rock. He loved her. He treated her like a princess. He did everything she wanted. He stroked her ego. He constantly told her he loved her and apparently gave her the best nookie she's ever had. And basically what Thomas got in return was the gift of being in her presence and in her bed. But I mean, really, that relationship was so incredibly unbalanced. She had all the control and all the power. So what she's talking about is me. This is what I lost. This is what I wanted. This is what you were giving me. And I got this. This is me. It just wasn't about him. And, you know, Thomas could only take so much. And when she made it clear months ago, she did not want to marry him anytime soon, maybe not at all, he'd had enough. And I do agree with Hope that Thomas should have expected a no because she already told him she wasn't ready. But then again, if Thomas was ready for commitment, as he said, not getting any younger, want another baby, and, you know, he asked her to marry him, maybe to give her a last chance to say yes before he realized he needed to do something different and change his life to get what he wanted, because he's entitled to get what he wants too. And it wasn't enough just to bask in her presence. You know, he wanted a real relationship. He wanted a family. He wanted a marriage. And I think that proposal was a good way to test how she felt about him and whether she would ever commit to him, even if he knew the answer was probably going to be no. There was an array of answers she could have given, not just yes, not just no. It could have been, I want to marry you. Let's pick this back up again in 3 months. You know, I just feel like a little more time, but I do feel myself as, you know, your wife in the future, something like that. There was an array of things she could have said, and she did admit she didn't handle it as well as she should have, and she has regrets. And I mean, come on. Also, Hope didn't even say she loved Thomas until he was ready to walk out the door after she rejected him again. All those times she smiled when he said he loved her, and she never said it back. She did say she loved the way he loved her, and she tiptoed around it, but she never said it. And now she's making claims about, you know, how much she loved him. And one way to look at it is that Hope enjoyed the attention and the adoration heaped on her and was being selfish. And again, bear in mind, I'm a Hope and Thomas fan, but this is what I'm seeing as a Hope and Thomas fan. So even given that Hope was still recovering from her divorce and all her messy feelings about Liam not being a one-woman man and all those Liam issues, if you love someone and they tell you they love you and they keep telling you that they love you, it seems like you should say it back if that's what's in your heart. She only said it when she was trying to keep him from walking out the door. So either she didn't love him when she said it, or she loved him all along, but didn't want to tell him and was holding out intentionally. Those to me are the two options. And now Hope feels like she is entitled to Thomas, and she's grilling him about how quickly he moved on with Paris Buckingham. And he went to France to Forrester International and was hanging out with Paris, someone he's been friends with for years. He was a roommate, a platonic roommate with her for a while, if you remember. And then they eased into a romance, but they already had the foundation built of friendship and former cohabitants. Hope's never lived with Thomas. Paris has. And then once they started falling in love, Paris and Thomas, he proposed. But let's be very clear. Hope really doesn't have a lot of room to talk about the speed at which people move on. Hope moved on with Thomas while she was very much actively married to Liam. She was making out with Thomas in Italy while she and Liam were married, and there were no problems in her marriage that she knew about. Nothing Liam was doing in particular other than just being Liam. And she took off her wedding ring maybe 5 minutes after Liam said he wouldn't forgive her and wanted a divorce. And she hopped into the sack with Thomas. And even then, Thomas was like, "You're still married." And she whipped that ring off, was like, "No, I'm not," and dragged him upstairs to his bedroom. So really, by Hope's own standards, Thomas took his time. Hope went 30 seconds after the split with Liam to moving on with Thomas. Thomas took some time to recover, was hanging out with his friend Paris, and then began falling in love with her based off an established relationship, you know? But Hope, as always, thinks it's about her, and she's the one who gets to decide if what Thomas did was okay. That's what I'm hearing in my ears and watching with my eyes. The bottom line, she wants him at her beck and call on her terms, and he's not there anymore. He's marrying someone else. And I do think that Paris loves him. I do think she cares about him. I do think she realized he might go to a dark place and she didn't want him to be there. They do have this good friendship. The big question is, now that Hope knows Thomas is engaged, saw the big double rock on Paris's finger, this is the big question for me. What is Hope going to do next? Well, Steffi has some things to say to Hope Logan this week. She's going to tell her that she had a chance with Thomas and blew it. Now he's with someone who truly loves and appreciates him, and Hope needs to get out of the way or else. I'm guessing it's going to get pretty acrimonious, but then what? Given Hope's recent patterns of behavior, I see her running to cry her eyes out to Finn. I can see her telling him Thomas is engaged to Paris, and Finn saying, "Well, good, because you deserve better than him." And I can also see Hope telling him Steffi was mean to her and told her she doesn't deserve a man as good as Thomas, blah, 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 which that will bother Finn because he doesn't think Thomas is good. You know, what I'm really wondering though is whether Hope makes a move on Finn. She has been imagining kissing him and them undressing. And with Thomas coming back, if he was back to reunite with her, that fantasy stuff probably would have stopped. But since he's with Paris, I expect Hope's fantasy life and hallucinations to get more out of control, out of stress and anger and frustration. And, you know, not only is she crushed that Thomas has a new woman that loves him and has his ring, but she's also furious about Steffi rubbing all this in her face. And that may cause like a little mini meltdown. Hope tries to make her fantasies a reality. So will a heartbroken, humiliated, and upset Hope plant a lip lock on Finn? In her fantasy, she kisses him, he kind of hesitates, and he kisses her back. But I don't think he will reciprocate if she kisses him. I think he'll be horrified, and then he'll reject her, and then she'll be crushed to have another rejection. I just don't see Finn cheating on Steffi with Hope. Time will tell, but I definitely expect Hope to pull some sort of stunt with Finn in the fallout of this explosive emotional mess that's killing her. I'm still wondering if there's some sort of medical issue because of that lab tech cameo we have coming during sweeps. We'll see. Let me know what you think about Hope's anger and how she'll lash out after being rejected by Thomas and mocked by Steffi. Drop your comments. And if you're not following us, please click subscribe. And if you are, thank you. Thank you so much. Come back soon. We're here talking Bold and Beautiful 7 days a week with me, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.